Hello all, good morning, good evening, or good afternoon. So, after our last video about upgrading from version 26 to 27, I got a comment saying, "Oh, when are we going to talk about version 25 to 27 upgrade on prem?" So, in this video, we're going to talk about certain things. One is version 25 to 27. Uh, we will be using India localization, but you can use it for any localization, that's not a problem. And then there is a breaking change that happens between 25 to 27. We'll go into details of it, how you resolve it, what Microsoft suggests about it. So stay with me and we'll go through it. So without wasting further time, let's get into it. Before we start, let's understand the environment that I'm using today. So this is our Business Central 25. Let me be very clear about the cumulative update. So the cumulative update is 25.6. So it is 25.6 India localization to 27.1 India localization, of course. Right. Let's quickly review the extensions that we have. So as I said earlier, I only keep extensions that my customers are using. There's a little bit different extensions that you'll see from the previous video for two reasons. One, it's an India localization, so there is a whole list of India extensions here, from fixed asset to India voucher interface. And then additionally, in this example, we are also taking subscription and recurring billing, which is causing some errors. And then we have a custom extension to show you how that kind of moves. The custom extensions add some field on the customer table. So you'll notice that there are some fields which have the same values as the number, the name, as well as for the balance. So the balance is here, which is here. In the same way, there is a vendor table which have some customization. Again, similar fields. These fields are just added to kind of give you an idea of how custom data moves. There's nothing much into it. All right. Additionally, the extension also have a separate payment terms table, which is a 50,000 table. It is a copy. The data is a copy of payment term table itself, but as you can see, it's a 50,000 table. So we'll try to upgrade this 25.6 environment to 27.1. Now what I've done is I have already done the pre-work. So I have some script written which you will be able to access from the GitHub directly, so you don't have to worry about it. If you're not from India localization, not doing for India localization, you can just skip this script and others you can follow as it is. I have broken apps into separate parts. One is core apps, which contains the application, base application, foundation, and system application. And then there is India localization app, which are only relevant if you're doing it for India customers. And then last but not least is apps, which have two folders. One is one which have 0 dependencies more or less, and then there is a 2 which have some dependencies from 1. So we'll try to see how this happens. Okay, having said that, let's first refer to the Microsoft article about it. Here it is. The article remains same. You can upgrade to version 27 from 26 or version 25, aka 2025 release wave 1 or 2024 release wave 2. If you are from a prior version, head up to the upgrade playlist and see how you upgrade to version 25 from a prior version. There's surely a video that'll help you there. So we'll follow this, and as we do that, we'll keep talking about it. Additionally, as I say in every upgrade video, always refer to upgrade compatibility metrics. So our version that we are upgrading from is version 25. So the compatibility for version 25 is here. If you remember, we saw that it is 25.6. So from 25.6, I can upgrade to 27.0 or higher. Again, let me try to explain you this. If you are on 25.13, then you cannot upgrade to 27.1. The minimum compatibility of 25.13 is 27.2 or higher. So always refer to this. Make sure your target version is in alignment and compatible to your source version before you start your upgrade. Okay, having said that, let's pop up PowerShell and start doing our first step. So the first step always starts from your source version, which is BC 25. So here you're going to import the module. The module loads the command for Business Central. Then you are going to uninstall all extension from version 25. I should have corrected this. I just used the same script. Okay. So this will do something which will uninstall all the extension. Don't worry. Uninstalling an extension does not delete your data. So, and then we are going to unpublish extension, and then we are going to remove symbols one by one. This will end up with some error messages because the command is trying to uninstall everything in the sequence that they are popping up, but they might have interdependency, which will generate some error messages. So don't worry about it. It's not a problem. If it errors out, run this command again and then move to the next step. So it's kind of trying to go each and every extension that is installed and trying to uninstall it. So the way this command works is the first part is get nav app info from the server, which gets all the apps or extensions that are available on your tenant. And then the output of this is given to this because there is a pipe in the middle, which runs the uninstall nav command on that server with the tenant and the name coming from this, version coming from this, and efforts. So what's going to happen is rather than doing each and every extension uninstall at one time, it's going to run across till the point it uninstalls everything. So while this is happening, let's go back here and see what it means. So these are just the packages and all. You need to install version 27, which I already have. And then we did talk about data encryption. I'm not going to talk about it again, but that command seems to be completed. So let me go there and run this and we'll come back. Now this will get some errors, hopefully, because there is a cross dependency. So we might see some errors popping up as it happens. If it doesn't happen, great, right? Okay, so let me reduce the size. Okay, here we saw an error, and let it just populate all the errors. Okay, so here is what we are doing. Get a list of install extension. You can do it with this, and then uninstall the extension, which you can do with this. But then you can do both together by running this single command, which we have in the PowerShell. Once you have done that, then you are going to unpublish all system symbols, which is done by this. And then you need to dismount tenant only if you have multi-tenant. I don't have multi-tenant. And then at the end, you need to stop the service. So right now, our uninstall is unpublish is being ran, and it is giving a lot of errors because there are cross dependencies between these extensions. So once it completes trying to unpublish all the apps that are there, we then can run it again and see what happens. So I'm going to run this part again. Now whatever is left, and the reason of leaving it because there is a dependency to it, will be removed in this run. And there might be another run that we'll have to do based on the errors that you are seeing. But don't worry about this step because it happens. You keep running this command until unless you see 0 errors or no errors. I still saw an error or 2, I guess 3. Okay, because there are cross dependencies, so I'm just making sure that everything goes away. And the major one would be the base app, because it has other dependency with other apps and other things. So app and base app are still causing problems because there are cross dependencies available. Hopefully this should be the last run. Let's see. Now it depends on how many apps you have and how much codependency those apps have. So as we don't see any errors, we can move to the next step and remove the symbols. Once we remove the symbol, what this step does is, if there are application symbol, test symbols, those get removed. And then the last but not least is the stop the service. Now, once you stop the service, your part for 25.6 in this case is completed, and we are ready to head up to our next PowerShell. So you need to close the PowerShell and open it again, so that now you can load version 27 commandlet. So make sure that you close the PowerShell and load it again. And always, while doing upgrade, make sure you run PowerShell ISE as administrator. The first thing is, we are going to convert the database to a compatible version of 27. So this command, because there is no platform available, this command helps you to convert that database. So if you have worked in NAV, this is like opening a NAV 2018 database into a BC14 executables. So because there are no executables, you do it with the PowerShell command. And then this set of steps, I'm going to talk about it as they are running. So what it is doing, it is setting up the service tier for the new database, because now there's a database server property which is being set. The second is database name, because it might be pointing to another database earlier. And then you need to make sure that you disable the task scheduler, so that if any processes are scheduled on job queue or task, they should not run at that time. As we know, when we change anything on the service, we have to restart the service. Now I'm not going to import the partner license. I'm going to test it without the partner license because it's not a mandate. I'm going to run the synchronize tenant, which checks the compatibility of the database that has been converted against version 270. So that has run, and there has not been any problems. Now from the product DVD, I have already, as I explained earlier, I have copied these files into the core apps. So based on taking the references of this, the core app folder, I'm going to publish these in this order, and I'll show you where Microsoft says about it so that you know about it. I'll run all four together with the restart, and we'll go back to Microsoft article. So what's happening now is that there is surely a Microsoft system application, business foundation, base application, and application from version 25. And now I'm introducing the corresponding app from version 27, because my target is going to version 27. It's like importing your target version objects from an NAV perspective. But let's come back here. Here is what it says: convert application database to version 27. This task runs a technical upgrade on application database to convert it to version 27 platform. This updates system table to the newer schema, which are your 2 million tables, if you know. It provides latest program feature and performance enhancement. This conversion add the system symbols for the version to the database, so you don't have to manually publish them at the system extension as you do in the previous releases. So you run the Business Central administration cell as an administrator, and you run the invoke nav application. Once it is completed, you get a message like this, which we would have surely got. Let me pop up that and go a little bit up. Here we got it: database server, database name, and all, right? So you get this message. And if you are on Azure SQL, you may get this, which you have to scale up your resources and all. That's the other part of the story, which we are not covering in this. Then your task 5 is to configure version 27 server. When you have installed version 27 in task 2, which is earlier, the service tier is pointing to your demo database that comes with the product DVD. But because now you have another database which is coming from version 25, you'll have to update your service tier parameter to say now this service is pointing to this database. So here you do it with this way. You set the database name, you disable the task scheduler, you restart your service. I also do server name and database name. It's up to you what you want to set. Then you need to import version 27. It says partner license. If you remember, we skipped this step. I'm not importing the partner license into it. And the database did not have a partner license even before this, just FYI. Synchronize tenant. Now this step checks that the application database is now ready for the newer extension version. So you need to kind of synchronize it. If you are on multi-tenant environment in on-prem, you'll have to do it, mount the tenant, and then do synchronization on each tenant. Next up is task 8, which is publishing these extension. So you publish these extension. At a minimum, you publish the new base, the new system application from the product DVD, because these are the bare minimum extensions that you need for operating Business Central. You can surely publish other Microsoft and non-Microsoft extension based on your old deployment, but they come in a specific order. The first one is the system application that you need to publish by doing this. Then is your business foundation, because that's a prerequisite for the base app to publish. So the second becomes your base foundation application. Third one becomes your base application. So you publish that. Last but not least is you publish the Microsoft application extension. Now this extension does not have any objects or code. It's there to help developers for downloading symbols on your VS Code. To install it, it'll help you when you work after the upgrade on that customer. Now Microsoft step says that you can publish other Microsoft extensions. I prefer not to do it right now, because then that breaks when you are using that PowerShell command from my GitHub. So we do it after the core apps upgrade is done. So we have skipped this step. If you want to follow this as is, go ahead. I would highly encourage you to do it separately, because that makes sense, unless there is a huge dependency against that. Okay. Once that is done, we'll get into the synchronized tenant with extensions. So that'll take some time, as publishing these extension is surely a longer thing, which is still happening, I guess. And then once the publishing of these extension will happen, we'll move forward with it. Okay. But in the meantime, as I have you guys available right now, let me show you some stats. So as you can see here, there are 81.7% people who do watch the video. So thank you for that. But they haven't subscribed to the channel. I'm pretty sure there would be a good reason of not doing that. But if you don't mind, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. And if there's something that I can enhance, let me know into the comment section. I'll be happy to kind of go ahead and work into it. The whole idea of this channel to make sure that whatever I learn, make sure that I provide that using videos to the community and help the community to do whatever I know, if that's correct. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and let's get back to the video. Okay, so it's still taking some time, so I'll pause the video for a while, and once this publishing is done, we'll come back. Okay, so publishing is done for all the 4 core apps. Now it's time to synchronize these apps. Now you do it in the same order as we did the publishing, which is starting with system application, then business foundation, base application, and application. Now the reason why you do it in this order is because that's how the dependencies has been set. The application app has a dependency with the prior three app, which is system, business foundation, and base application. And you can go up in the same way, going to base application having two dependencies and business foundation having one dependency. Now, synchronization of these apps has a mandatory step to make sure that you specify your extension uh, target extension version. Now, the reason why it is important, because once you publish these apps in your tenant, there are actually two apps for system application, business foundation base and application. You need to very clearly specify that which of these apps, for two of them, which one you want to synchronize. Do you want to synchronize 25.6 or do you want to synchronize 27.1? You'll say, oh, Saurabh, but we have unpublished or uninstalled those apps from a prior version. But there's a good fact that your data is still there, and let me walk you through around it. So if you run get nav app info server instance bc270 and then specify your tenant, which is default in this case, and also add tenant specific properties, and then put a pipe and get it in a grid view. What you'll notice is that you only see 4 apps right now. You don't see all the apps because they are unpublished. But if you pay attention to extension data version column, it is still pointing to 25.6. Your extension version is 27.1 because you have synchronized them, but your data is still on 25.6. So that's the reason you have to specify your target version. Now it's time to upgrade the data. So we'll run the upgrade data, which will start upgrade process for all these apps. Now, as these are extensions, each extension have their own upgrade logic. So you don't have to kind of worry about other extension. Each extension which is doing any kind of schema changes have their upgrade logic written inside their app. And I'm just following what I've written here, right? You synchronize the tenant with the extensions following the same order: system, business, base, and application. And if you have other apps, which we'll do separately, and then you perform the upgrade data, which is you run the system application, business foundation, base, and application. When you run the upgrade, this step automatically also installs the new system application and so on and so forth. So you'll automatically install these apps as the upgrade completes. Now, what an upgrade look like? So inside all these apps, or even if you have a PDE or a pertinent extension, custom extension written for your customer, and you're doing any schema changes where you're moving some field around or changing something which will cause problems, then you can add a code unit of subtype upgrade, which will have the logic to how to handle this data when somebody runs the start nav app data upgrade. Okay, now once this is done, let's move ahead, go back here, and then there's a step which is also listed on Microsoft documentation, which is to upgrade control add-in. Don't leave here because we are going to talk about the breaking change, so remember that. Don't leave at this point if you're planning to leave, but we'll update the control add-in. Now this may have some errors based on how Microsoft have written this. It's not a major step. If you get an error, no worries. It's just that these libraries are not part of the installation. And last but not least, as for the Microsoft step, once you update the control add-in, the command that you are seeing there was copied from here as is. And then after you do that, you have to update the application version on help and support, which happens with this PowerShell command, set nav server configuration. After that, you enable the task scheduler if you have, you import the customer license if you are using partner license for some reason, You enable the data encryption if you have disabled it, and we'll come back to rest in a minute. Okay, so let's go back here and update the solution version. Now, after running this step, what we have done is we have updated or upgraded the core extensions. And let's see how our environment look like. Now it's 270. I forgot to tell you there were 3 companies into 250. So you should see, I guess, Test India or Test 2, something like that. It's still refreshing, I guess. So you see this icon, which is not visible, but maybe visible now. It was earlier pointed to a US database, which is a Cronus database. It's just refreshing its cache and load Cronus India in a while. So what we have done till now is we have upgraded the core apps, right? Cronus India, Test 2 and Test IN. Now, even if I go to my customers card, I don't see my fields, which are part of my extension, because my extension is not yet upgraded. I haven't updated the extension that I had. So I'll only see what is part of these 4 core extension, whatever the data comes from these. So if I look into the extension management, and let me bookmark this, what we'll notice is that you have only these 4 extensions. Okay, let's move ahead and open our step 2. Oh, we are already on that. Let's open, and this is only for India localization. So if you're not doing for India localization, you can skip it from here to the next part. We already have 270, and now I'm going to publish all India localization extensions that are part of the product DVD. Now again, these commands to be written in the same order of their dependencies. So it is not just randomly I have picked extensions that were available for India. I have made sure that I checked their dependencies, and the list is top to bottom, where top has 0 dependency or minimum dependency, to the bottom where it has maximum dependency. As we are doing this, if we refresh this page, we should see that some new extension will start popping up here as they are getting published. Like you can see, fix asset is now here, QR code is here, and then as it keeps on running, we'll notice that more extensions are coming in. Now, to upgrade each app, you have to follow 3 steps. First, you have to publish that extension, the newer version of the extension, and then you have to synchronize that newer version of that extension. And last but not least, you have to upgrade the data, assuming that there's an upgrade step. If there's no upgrade step inside that app, no worries, you are good to go even then. I, as a developer, or you as a consultant or a developer or a system administrator, may or may not know that there is a data upgrade needed for this app or not. So it's always safe to run publish, sync, and upgrade. Never do a publish and then come back here on your environment and do an install, because then your legacy data is gone. So never click install until unless it's not a new extension. If it's a new extension, go ahead, you can install from here, which runs the sync and the install step, but don't do it during upgrade. If you're not sure about it, don't do it, because the steps are very clearly mentioned. First, you publish the new version of that extension, then you synchronize the new version of extension to check that it's causing any destructive changes, and last but not least, you upgrade the data for those extensions. So I'll pause it because it's taking a little bit of time to publish these. So all the India apps are now published. Let's quickly check them. As you can see, all of these are here. I guess I did not refresh it one more time. But if you look at it, all these apps, including GST India reports, everything is here now. Now the next step, as we know, is to do a synchronization of this app. It will happen the same way as we did for the core apps. So you first publish the new version, and while you're synchronizing them, you need to specify the target version that you want to synchronize. Once these are synchronized, that means that it has not found any issues. If in any issue is found, the sync will fail and you'll get an error message against it. Once this is done, we'll be able to execute the upgrade data for all these apps. And as I said earlier, the upgrade logic for each app will be written inside the app. So if you're not sure and you have a target version of the app, make sure to run the publish, sync, and upgrade. The upgrade step, if there's an upgrade step, great. Otherwise, it just goes ahead and installs that app or updates that data and brings it to the Business Central. So as you can see that these apps are now being installed and they bring all the India localization feature back into it with the data associated with them. Now as this completes the run, we'll be able to now also see from PowerShell that what is the status of it. But while this is happening, let's open the last part of it, or it's done. So if you do a get nav app info against the server instance BC270, and again tenant default with the tenant specific properties and pipe without grid view, you will notice that now the list have grown and it also have the India extensions, but the data version is also now 27.1. So I'll keep a copy of it because we're going to run it after we run the next set of it. So let's open the last one. In this script, we're going to install all the apps which are not core, which are not India localization, but they has been used by my customer. The first set, let's publish the first set as we keep talking about it. The first set brings up all the symbol extension, or not the symbol extension, but these are exclude extension. Now these are behind the scene extension that you don't see on your extension management page, but these brings a lot of functionality to your Business Central environment, including APIs version 1, version 2, bank deposit, business events, client add-ins, email logging with Graph API, master data management, plan configuration, report layout. Now if you remember, and if you have seen any of these on your extension management page, let me know, but these are not visible on the extension management page. Once the publishing is done, let me just run the same command to show you what happens at this moment. So at this moment, these new apps are here, but if you sort it based on the data version, all these exclude ones still have extension data version at 25.6. So we run the sync. That will change the flag to say that this app has been synchronized and it's still waiting to update the data. So if we run the same command after the sync step only changes the switch from saying is it synced false to is it synced now as true. So before I run the data upgrade, let me paste it again and see it what's happening. So if you see now, the sync state is synchronized, but the data version is still 25.6. To bring that to 27, I'll have to run the upgrade step, which will update that data. Now I guess you know what I'm trying to do, which is for each app we are running 3 steps. One is publish, the second one is synchronizing, and last one is start nav app data upgrade, which brings it back to life with the newer version and your legacy data that you had. So without wasting further time, I'm going to run this on data archive set, which brings the two functionality that my customer was using. One is data archive and another one is data search. In the same way, I'll pause the video in a while, but I'll also do this set in the meantime, or I'll run it as it is happening right now. Now this set is done. Let me run this. This brings the Excel report, Power BI, add-in and other things. Then I'll run the emailing part, the emailing extension, and then I'll resume the video where we'll talk about the breaking change and PDE. So stay with me. Now, as that said, it's completed. Let's upgrade our PDE, which is a custom extension that my customer was using, following the same 3-step, which is publishing the newer version of the extension that I had. And then if I had an upgrade logic, that would have been executed. And if I go back here now and refresh it, we should see that the custom PDE extension is also available, which also means that now I should be able to see my customers with the custom field that I have added with data into it, which is the demo fields. So that also is back. Now let's come to the last and very important part, which is the breaking change part. So now there was an extension in version 25 that my customer is using for subscription billing, which is the app release. So I go ahead and publish it like I do for any other app, which is publishing the newer version of the same extension to see that it remains available at that moment. And after that, we'll see what was available on the service tier and what is the data version of it before we run the sync and before we run the data upgrade. Now, publishing can take a little bit of time because it's a pretty big extension, but let me pause. Okay, so let's run this. The publishing is done, and let's look for the Microsoft subscription billing extension. So okay, here as it is, the subscription billing extension version is this, data version is 25.6. okay, now let's try to synchronize this. So as we try to synchronize this, I'll start reviewing the extension to see did the extension developer had made any destructive changes or not, and if yes, it should give me an error or a warning. So we'll see, because it's reviewing every object or every table into it, and also every field that's part of this extension to tell me that is there anything wrong with it or not. Normally sync happens pretty fast. It seems a little bit bigger app, but I don't think it should take that long, so we'll see. But having said that, whenever Microsoft does these kind of changes, and I have already a video about it, you can surely go back and check about it, where Microsoft made a breaking change is the title, I guess, or broke the rule. They do list down for on-prem customer how they approach this. Now subscription billing had some breaking change. I'll take it time to kind of load it, but when you are on your upgrade section, like we were here, you can come down here and say some known issues. Now this is important because this is a list of all the issues that Microsoft knows will happen when you do an upgrade from a version to other version, and it lists down all those issues here and a solution for it. So when you come here, it says rename tables and field in subscription billing extension causes sync error on upgrade, and it applies to 25.x. So if you are coming from version 25 to 27, Microsoft says that they acknowledge that they made changes where they rename tables and field in this extension, which will cause you a sync error, and that's the reason it's taking a little bit of time, but hopefully we'll see that error. Here's the problem: several table and field are renamed in subscription billing for version 26 or 27. These changes prevent you from synchronizing the extension in tenant database while upgrading to 26 or later. When you try to sync, you might see the following error. Okay, we'll wait for it. Now here is a workaround, which is a little bit trickier. It says if there are no custom app dependent on the rename table and fields, force sync the extension with force parameter, which is typically not recommended. Force sync may cause data loss if custom code depends on the rename field and field of the extension. To prevent data loss, refactor the custom code to match the extension latest database schema before upgrading. So if you have not modified this extension for your customer, then you're good. By changing the sync nav app with a force. Now, having said that, I would highly encourage you to not to run this on any other place until unless specified by Microsoft. If it is specified, go ahead and follow it, but read through the detail, because in this case Microsoft acknowledged that they made a mistake and they are giving you a workaround with a very clear instruction that if you have not made any changes or have any dependency of this extension on your custom extension, if there is one, then you'll have to refactor that customization so that it doesn't kind of break. What has been changed? Here it is listed. FF indicate flow field. Okay. Original field were customer contract number is now cust subcontract number, because the table 8051 service contract setup has been renamed to service subscription contract setup, and so on and so forth. So there has been a lot of change, as you can see here, on a lot of tables, which will cause errors while you're trying to synchronize this extension, upgrading from 25 to any higher version, which is 26, 27, 28, 29. Yes, right? So make sure if you're using this, how you proceed with it. And it's taking a little bit of time in generating the error message, so we'll wait for it. But what you have to do is apply a mode force, which I would highly remind you again that you should not do it until unless you get a very clear instruction either from Microsoft or you know what you're doing by changing the mode sync, because using the mode force will cause data deletion and you don't want to do it if you are not sure about it. Now same, if you are doing from 26.2, there has been changes on e-document core extension that causes error during upgrade. Again, Microsoft suggests to do a forcing, assuming that these not assuming, there's a very clear indication here that they were not publicly released and they were internal for development, so there will not be any dependency to these extension. So they are very clear about it, right? And if you are coming from prior version, I highly recommend you to read this, because there had been issues where it causes issues or errors when you're doing upgrade. So do refer this if that becomes a problem, but you can always use the mode force sync if it's listed as a known issue from Microsoft. So that's a breaking change that Microsoft doesn't allow you or me to do if I'm an app developer or a partner, but they have this flexibility to do it. So we'll wait for it to see what errors comes in and then we'll complete this. So here are the errors. Sync failed with all of these errors. Cannot be located, renaming of this is not allowed, and things like that, right? So if you see something like this, just for this app, you'll also have to check that you don't have any dependency to this particular extension in your custom extension, right? And then use the forcing. Don't use anything else. Don't use clean, don't use development add, right? Just use forcing only for subscription billing, guys. If you're upgrading from 25, only in that case use forcing, making sure that you don't have any custom dependency on your app by this app, otherwise that data will be lost. And then as you do that, the last step as usual remains the start nav data upgrade, which will allow you to kind of update this app to the future version. So what we kind of summarized, let's summarize what we learned today. One, you need to follow the same practices to do an upgrade from either 26 to 27 or 25 to 27. Based on your localization, you might create a separate PowerShell script, as you will be able to get access from the GitHub portal of upgrade repos. Put that separate. Make sure that you do custom extensions and non-core Microsoft extension as separate. If you are dealing with subscription billing only from 25 to a higher version, then use a force after making sure that your custom extension, any of your custom extension, is not taking any dependency on subscription billing, because that will be a problem. The link to the Microsoft article, to some known issues, to compatibility, and to the GitHub repo are available in the description as well as in the pinned comment to this video. Do let me know what you know about it, how you find this video. You know the drill at this moment. If you think this was useful, hit the like button. If you think someone is doing it or may is struggling with it, do share this video with at least one person. And if you haven't, please do subscribe to the channel. If you're looking for some Business Central consulting or development support, either as a partner or a customer, reach out to us at info@eithertheyconsulting.com and we'll be happy to help you. I'll see you sooner than later in the next video. Till then, keep learning and keep sharing whatever you're learning. Thank you and have a nice day.